Happy Friday, everybody. Josh here with On the Wrong Lead. A little different intro since we're into the holiday season. Yeah, episode of You've Gotta Be Sha Tinning Me. Joined as always by Matt Carlson. Matt, you just got back from a Christmas party. I had my office Christmas party Thursday. So felt festive. You can see the Christmas tree behind me blurred out, but it's up with one lone ornament. Yeah, we made it, man. It's end of the year and HKIR day, and it's gonna be a heck of a day. Even though, unfortunately for us, no balls ended up getting scratched, which I just wanted to see him run. I mean, I'm sure he had absolutely no shot, but it was going to be cool to see him run. But even with that scratch, I think we have a real interesting set of races.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's disappointing. No ball's not running. I mean, like you said, I don't think he had much of a shot, but it would be nice to at least gauge how little a shot he had, put it that way. So unfortunately, we don't get to see that. But otherwise, yeah, it's the most wonderful time of the year. It's HKIR. So
yep, and to get even more festive, I have a nice little Christmas ale in a Delirium Noel glass. And then after we record this and I finish this beer, my wife and I are actually gonna split a Delirium Noel, which I haven't had in quite some time. So I bought it was funny. I was at the liquor store and they had the gift set out. So I bought the gift set and I told my wife, I'm like, hey, and she's like, you bought this gift set for me before. I have this glass. She's like, well, now we have a pair of them. So we have we each have our own Delirium Noel glasses. Came in a two pack of bombers and then this. So cheers, guys. Matt, what before we get into it, what else what have you been into? Like I feel like it's been a couple weeks since we recorded.
So, I mean, Turfway started up. That's a positive. I mean, of all the domestic racing, I feel like that's the one thing I do still get excited for, right? You get full fields, you get a lot of, synthetic experience, and typically, you can see at least a couple prices there. And look, I mean, that's everything what racing kind of should be, right? It's big fields, it's low takeout, it's, kind of all over the place. So that's an opportunity. And, I think I look forward to it. I know you look forward to it. You're looking forward to it now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that kind of started up, and so that's good. Otherwise, just, December's busy, holidays, kids, work, all that shit. So
yeah,
life got in the way of us last week with the holidays. So
yeah, I mean, it's just the last couple weeks have been tough. Obviously, if you guys follow us, you've noticed, drinking champagne has been coming out, I think, pretty regularly. Same with this. Like, we've been keeping up with this. We've missed a week or two, obviously, with both of them. But the live streams, Mark is super busy now with skiing and stuff, but they're going to start back up. It's just tough, man. Like, especially, when stuff starts happening on Thursdays, and, we're still tinkering. We're looking at possibly moving stuff to a different day, maybe going more towards, live streaming, like us playing, because it seems like that's what people like to see. That hey, let's spend 2 hours, let's wager, and let's see what happens. I mean, there's a ton of handicapping stuff out there, but we'll get back into that stuff. And you did mention Turfway. I'm gonna pat myself on the back since I hit that pick 5 today. So if you follow me on Twitter, you saw that. Posted a nice little, it's like $2,700 hit there at Turfway. So good to see one. Good to see one, go through the hoop. So, but
I like that you're like $2,700 is like seeing one go through the hoop. I haven't hit that in years. That's
I know.
That's a pretty nice dunk. All right,
it is.
That's not just a little layup. That's a pretty deep jumper for me.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. It's a good hit, and like I said, I had a great weekend Breeders' Cup, right? I ended up leaving up a couple $100. I think I was up like $1,200-$1,300 on Friday. And then I gave like 500 or 600 of it back between the next day and the casino. But I came back with a couple extra $100, like, and we talk about I know we talk about like going to the track, right? Like I always feel much less prepared at the track. I feel I'm not as, I don't want to say diligent's probably not the right word, but my bets suffer, right? I think I handicapped the same, right? But I'm not playing 3, 4 tickets. I'm playing one, and maybe I'm playing more vertically, right? Because I'm there, and it just ends up being different. But um, yeah, it's just nice to, like I said, to get a good one home. Um, I guess seeing one go through the hoop maybe is underplaying it a little bit, but I haven't hit a pick five in what feels like, I don't know, couple. I might be the first one hit all year, honestly. I don't know. I got to look back, but it's yeah, it's a good hit. But you're not here to listen to us talk about Turfway. You're not here to listen to us talk about Vegas. Although I'll be in Vegas next week, and you can listen to me talk a little bit about that on Drinking Champagne, and I'm gonna be going with a little bit heavier of a wallet this time. So I don't know, Buffalo Machines, watch out. You know, but
That money, that money's going straight back. All right, never going to hit the account.
all those poor horse players, right? They're like, he takes the money out of the pools and puts it in the damn Buffalo machines, like. But yeah, we're gonna start here with the Hong Kong Vase. All right, we got an interesting 2,400-meter race here, Group One race. We're gonna cover the 4 Group 1 races here on HKIR Day, and this is a real interesting race. We got a field of 13 in here. You got some of you got like a horse like Kai Ying, a generation who's had kind of a rough go of form last couple of weeks, but came second to Romantic Warrior in that Jockey Club Cup last time out. Um, and you got other horses. You got a lot of Hong Kong horses in here. You got some, you got Continuous coming here. Who ran at Ascot in the fall. 5G Patch is a horse I know. We've talked about numerous times on stream. I mean, a really really interesting horse, and an interesting field here. Um, I I only got one horse in here. And this could just be the fact that I love this horse and I bet this horse basically every time I see him. But the 3 Luxembourg is the only A horse I have in here. Is the only horse I'm going to use. Um, I looked at this race. It seemed to be um, fairly low on speed, and Luxembourg isn't necessarily a speed horse, but he's not the type of horse that wants to sit 15 lengths off of it, 12 lengths off. He's not going to be all the way at the back of the field, right? He's going to be mid pack, and I think he's got a good shot to kind of get that, get a good trip in this race. He's in the 9 post, so I think and Ryan Moore's aboard, and Ryan Moore is very very good at working out good trips. Um, so yeah, I think Luxembourg here has got a good shot to just like work out a nice trip, sit mid pack, make that one run, and I think and win this one. I honestly, I after him, I mean, Without a Fight is in here. Won the Caulfield Cup, went to the Melbourne Cup, won that, right, which is a huge race. Obviously, going much further, and maybe the last race was kind of a prep. They cut him back all the way back to 2000, and they're kind of stretching him right back out here, the extra 400 meters. So, um, yeah, I mean he's coming in here with 2 G1 wins. I think he's a little interesting in this spot, but um, yeah, he was laid off for a bit. Obviously, this is second up here for him, but. It's a horse that hasn't shipped, or hasn't run all that well since, or rather, not run well, but hasn't shipped to Hong Kong yet, right? Obviously, he's a Irish horse, went to Australia to kind of win some stuff there. But like when you think of stayers, I'm not thinking of Australian horses. You know what I mean? Like this is a horse that won a Group 3, but albeit in a 3 horse race, and then all of a sudden he's a Group 1 winner in Australia, right? But I don't know. Maybe I'm like crap talking the high rated horse in this race, and like he's not going to take any money. But I don't know. I'm just going to use the 3 Luxembourg here. But I'm interested to see where you went.
Yeah, so I mean, there's two kind of things that I have as principles in these long races, right? One we've talked about a lot in that I've said, hey, the longer the race, like the less it lends itself towards an HK horse actually winning, right? I do think these Australian bred horses, the horses that kind of typically run an HK, they're just not mile and a half horses because this is one of like maybe 6 or 7 2,400-meter races that they run all year. And obviously the only group one that they will run all year for this race, right? So I tend to not favor a local horse, and like you probably wanted to look towards someone shipping in. That said, my other principle in this race is that Luxembourg sucks. I really hate that horse, and I think that that horse has been washed for like 2 years. I have not seen that horse run a good race, and I'm like, I would never bet that horse. So God bless you. I hope it wins, but man, I am not going to put any money on that horse ever. Just a principle of mine. So, that said, I mean, there's not too much that really excites me here. I think I had to stretch and find who I did want to bet in here. A couple stuck out, I think. The first one I went with was the 2 Gio Valetto. I do think it's weird to have a horse cutting back to a mile and a half, but
Mm-hmm.
hey, I mean, that's, kind of where it's been running. If you look, I mean, this horse has been running against some really good company, right? I mean, it's been running at top weight and it's been running against horses like Kyprios, Vauban, right? I mean, this horse has a lot of ability and it's right there. And I do think, Ocean Murphy ships in and he's only running on 2 horses. He's running on this and he's running on the Foxes later on. And I'm not a big fan of the Foxes. So I have to think he's here for a reason. He wouldn't be shipping in if not for coming in. And I do think this is probably the one that he's here to run on. So look, I mean, obviously weights don't necessarily matter in this race. There are no, there's one massive weight break. I'll actually talk about that next. Um, but yeah, I mean, look, I don't think a great angle is the horses that you lose to, but when you're losing to some of the best horses in the world, like Kyprios, and running well, right? I mean, running within a couple lengths of Kyprios, that puts you in pretty good company, especially here. So that's where my eye went to. I think this is the best kind of European horse, and I do think these European horses are kind of bred to go a mile and a half, right? So that's kind of who I think is most poised to win this from a shipper perspective. I do also like the 13 Stellenbosch. I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of turf routers, but when you look, I mean, these 3-year-old fillies get such a break against this field, right? I think, most of the field's running at 126. Stellenbosch goes off at 117. She gets 9 pounds on the entire field in this race. And when you look at it, right, I mean, that horse was running against Cervinia, who finished a very respectable 4th in open company, right? I mean, not just 3-year-old fillies, but ran an open company in the Japan Cup and, I think went off right below Deduce and finished 4th. I mean, those horses are a big deal. And I do think that just given the break and given Zhao on here, right? I mean, the Magic Man's back and he knows how to ride this course. Um, you get the 13 draw, but 2,400, you get a long, long run up to the turn. And I don't think draw matters at all in this race. So that's the other place my eye went. If you get 9 pounds on an entire field and you've shown some ability, I do think that, it's something that my eye goes to. You have to bet that horse. So those are the two that I like kind of shipping in. I will use probably a Hong Kong horse as well in the 12 in Sued. I think of any ones that interest me in here, that's the one that my eyes went to just because I do think this horse has some ability that you just haven't seen yet. And I do think James McDonald, I mean, people are like, oh, world's best jockey, et cetera. But I mean, he really is. He moves horses forward better than anyone I've ever seen. And I like him getting up here. I like the fact that when you look at who they've had assigned riding to this horse, I mean, you've seen, Purton, you see Ryan Moore riding this horse a couple times. I mean, they've shipped Ryan Moore in specifically to run on this horse last season. This horse has to have some ability, and it's never run at 2,400 before. So, hey, maybe that's what this horse wants to do. I'm not sure. It's run better at 1,800 than 2,000, so it has run better at one turn than two. But if I'm going to take a flyer on a horse at a big price, and I'm going to bet an HK horse, this is the one I think I would want. So, I'll be probably use the first two as A's and then Suit as a B if I had to structure something. But yeah, those are the three I think I want to use out of here. And I'm not going to put any money on anyone else. I just think those are the three kind of poised to take this out. So
Not even Luxembourg,
I can't bet Luxembourg. That
huh?
horse has been washed for like 2 years. Come on.
Stellenbosch was an interesting one in here. The Speed Pro really liked this horse. Um, Honestly, though, now that I think about it, maybe it's because of the weight break.
Yeah,
It could just be they saw the weight break
it's
and they're like, well,
huge. It's
yeah.
massive.
So and you get the Magic Man aboard, right? And um, yeah, I mean he knows how to ride Hong Kong. So I thought this was an interesting horse. Probably one I'd probably use with in a Quinella with Luxembourg. But I'm gonna plant my flag in there, even though Luxembourg I think lost to who did they lose to? Did they lose to San Marino? I forgot.
It's also a
Um,
lot of horses.
uh, Hong Kong Sprint. Um, I mean, like I said, this horse. I thought this race was going to be interesting with no balls in here. But let's be honest, this race kind of starts and stops with Kai Ying Rising, um, and yeah, I mean, I really just I didn't have anything like super interesting in here. You know, I'm looking right. I see some Japanese horses. Japanese sprinters are just not the same. I'm trying to find like maybe some big Australian horse that shipped. Starlust. Like you didn't go to the wedding, don't go to the funeral. Last time was the time to have Starlust. You know, and you see a horse like Recommendation, who was a nice Group 3 horse, and as soon as that horse went to Group 2, Group 1 company, just you know wasn't even close. So now you want me to think that this horse is going to come to Hong Kong and beat probably one of the best, if not the best turf sprinter in the world. Like, no. Um, so yeah, I just there was just like nothing. I couldn't really find anything, and like I don't know. I think if you're gonna play something, I mean, maybe you just play a Quinella with How Deep Is Your Love, the 13. Um, I thought the 12 Helios Express was another kind of interesting horse to use underneath, but I would maybe kind of look to see what those kinds of prices would be in a Quinella or Exacta or something. But I mean, it's just it's kiting rising and everybody else for me in this race. And maybe like I said, How Deep Is Your Love is a horse I use underneath, or key in a trifecta or something in second and third. Like if you're trying to make money vertically here, but I don't know. What did you think?
I mean, yeah, Kaiying Rising is just going to win this race, right? I mean, two things that are worth mentioning, right? I mean, we talked about no balls, right, and him being out. The other thing I'll mention is that if you're going to play Kaiying Rising to show, just remember that Hong Kong goes down to penny breakage, so you get $2.02 back on your place bet. So probably don't play that either. But I mean, that might even be an overlay on this horse. I mean, just the way it ran last out was insane, right? I mean, it's going to dust this field. I think it would probably dust any field just based on the way it ran last out, unless something else happens to it. But it would take a lot. I think the weird thing about this race to me was the fact that, especially for a turf sprint, there's not a lot of speed in here. It's weird to see a lot of closers in a turf sprint race. And I don't know what happened to California Spangle last out, but if you watch that replay, it doesn't break bad. It doesn't really go from a wide post. It just doesn't get the lead, and he doesn't go. And I'm not sure why. I don't really know what happened to that horse, whether, shipping, just caught up with it, or if it was just an off day, or what. Um, but because of that, I think I was saying, okay, well, who gets the lead in here? Like, who actually goes? And the horse that Mai went to, I think, was Victor the Winner. I know that it was shipping back last time, and I know, it's kind of that speedball that it's kind of fallen off, in races, right? You'll see it get the lead, and then I think last out it finished like a very tired seventh. Um, but if I had to make some argument for this race of like, could something go sideways, or at least, hey, do I think a horse can catch a piece at a huge price? That's the horse that my eye went to. Um, just because I think there's a chance that that horse gets an easy lead. Granted, it's breaking from the 13 post, so it's not going to be that easy. But I don't know. It's again, it's weird to see a pace play in a 6 furlong turf sprint. So I do think if I had to make a play, I'd probably be playing, kind of that straight exacta. I'd be playing Kying Rising directly over Victor the Winner and hoping I catch something big out of that if I had to make value out of this race. Because otherwise, I mean, right, Kying Rising's just gonna, you know, dust this and kind of, pay you nothing. So yeah, I think Victor the Winner's a 4. But yeah, so play that what 1-4 exacta straight and hope to kind of catch something, right? And if hey, Victor the Winner doesn't hold on because there's been a lot of races where he hasn't held on, so be it. But you're gonna get the price, and I think that's the way to get value out of this thing. So that'll be my play out of here.
All right. We're going to skip over race 6 here, and we're going to go straight to race 7, the Longines Hong Kong Mile. And we're going to be going a mile, the one turn mile, the Hong Kong distance. And I'll let you go first here. Where did you land?
I'm singled in this race, and I think for a couple reasons. I'm gonna go back to the well and hit Galaxy Patch because
Mm.
for a couple reasons, right? I do think the last time this horse ran, it was just way against the track, right? If you looked at it, I mean, call it what you will, whether they were replanting the grass that day or whether the track was just playing forward, who knows? I think the other thing that helps the price on this horse is the draw is awful, right? It got the worst draw. It got the 14 post in this race, which I'm kind of hoping people see and just say, we don't really want that. So, given the lackluster run last out against the track, given the bad post, I think this is the best price you'll ever get on this horse. And I mean, I posted a couple times ago. I think Galaxy Patch is such a horse that like there's a lot of distances that this horse would go off favored as. Like it can do a lot of different things, but I think they want it to become that de facto, mile horse, right? I mean, they want this to be the next Golden 60. Is it the next Golden 60? Probably not. No one's Golden 60, but I'm going to take my price on this horse and say, hey, if I'm never going to see above even money or odds on again on this horse, if I get 2 or 3 to 1 now, that's where I want to go. So that'd kind of be my only play in here is just to say, okay, Galaxy Patch, this is the best price I'm going to get on this horse for a long time, and kind of send it in and hope for the best. So yeah, I don't think I'd play anything else in here, to be honest.
Yeah, I went completely different. I, I decided to look at 3 different shippers in this race, and maybe um, this is a fool's errand to bet against Hong Kong in this race, but um, I think the horse I was really interested in was the 12 Jantar Mantar or Jantar Mantar. I don't even know how you pronounce it, but um, you know, lightly raced horse, right? He's got 7 starts. Is coming in here as a 3-year-old, and um, as a 2-year-old, rattle off 3 straight wins, including a Group One. And then as a 3-year-old, they really tried to stretch this horse out. They went straight to 1800. It ran okay. Ran in the Japanese 2000 guineas. Ran fine. Ran third. And then they cut it back to the mile. And I feel like, found what it wanted to do again, right? Wanted to run that mile distance. So I like the fact that they cut this horse back, and he ran well. And now he has been off on a pretty big layoff here, but he seems to have run pretty well off layoffs, running fresh. So I'm not really too concerned with that. But yeah, I like the 12 in here. Probably my top pick, but I'm using 3 horses, and I'm probably gonna end up using them all equally. I think the 13 Lazat. Um, you know, I mean, this horse has done nothing wrong, right? This is a horse that's six wins and 7 lifetime starts with 1 second. And the second was a Australian race, and he ran second to a horse named Lake Forest, and yeah, I mean, just has done nothing wrong. He's got a Group One win to his name, and is coming over here. It's drawn in the 7 post, and this is a horse that's got some speed. And I like that. I like to see in those one turn races. I like to have horses that are going to be forwardly placed, and this, this is a horse that's led in most of his races. So like to see that. And obviously coming from France, has run in all kinds of goings, right? Is good, heavy, soft. So I haven't looked at what the weather is looking like, but obviously in Hong Kong, they get a lot of good going over there. It's not necessarily going to be like super fast or anything like that. So I think the 13 Lazat is a horse that's run on a bunch of different types of surfaces, and has run well. So I really like the 13 here. And then the last horse I'm going to use is the 14 horse, Ramadan, who I think is another horse that you kind of look at um, some of these 1600-meter races, and they look pretty good. Obviously, in the couple Group Ones that this horse has kind of run in, um, maybe just not not up to snuff with the Group Ones, but although we do see really good milers in Hong Kong. I mean, we get a lot of really good milers in France and in Great Britain and stuff, and so um, you know, I don't know if this horse is going to get a little bit of a different field, or maybe a little bit easier field, or heck, maybe this is another one, the exact opposite. Maybe doesn't like the very soft going that you get in France. So gets Ryan Moore aboard, which I like to see. I like to see whenever Ryan Moore is getting on any shippers here. So I thought the 14 Ramadan is a horse that has got some back races I think that fit in here. And yeah, I mean, I'm kind of spreading here a little bit. I'm going three wide with these three horses, and hoping one of them can kind of come through. You hate all of
I mean, I'm single, so
them.
I like my opinions.
All right. Well, race 8, the last race we're going to cover here, the Longines Hong Kong Cup. We're going to be going 2,000 meters here, and we got Romantic Warrior showing up here again. All Romantic Warrior's done is won the last 6 races. And I think he looks tough here again. He's won in Australia, he's won Hong Kong, he's won in Japan. I mean, anywhere out there, he's finding places, and he's winning. And I think he's going to be tough in this spot. So I have him as my top pick. The only other horse that I did take a look at is the 4, and I'm probably not going to pronounce this right. Testira. And you know, you look at this horse, and it's interesting. It's almost like they're like, hey, we're just going to run this horse in like every Group 1 that we can find, and we don't care what the distance is. Because I mean, they've run this horse anywhere between 2,000 and 3,000, 3,200 meters. And they're just like, we'll see what happens. Let's see what happens. And um, I don't know if necessarily that's the right way to manage a horse, but you know, I feel like the shorter races that this horse has run, the 2,000 to 2,400 meter races, seem to be the ones that kind of fit with the rest of the field here. And they laid the horse up for a couple of months, and he came back in that Tenno Show Autumn and ran pretty well. He ran second at a humongous price. I think it was like 53 to 1 or something in that race. And they're taking a shot here, and I like to see it. I like to see Damian Lane gets aboard, who is a great jock. He was one of the top lot jocks in Australia for a while. He's in Japan now, I think, full time, and he's riding great there. So I like the fact that he gets aboard here. And obviously you look at the horse, the jockeys that have ridden this horse. I mean, it's obviously a horse that has been well thought of. You see Damian Lane, you see Joe Murray, you see Ryan Moore. So and Ryan Moore actually won, I think won like a maiden race riding this horse as a 2 year old. Like it's wild. And but yeah, I mean, this horse has got a couple bad races in there, but you kind of look at the campaign, you kind of scratch your head a little bit, and you see, I think the last race, Fresh looked pretty good, and so second up, I'm pretty interested in this one. I think this is a horse that can run pretty well, and maybe it's one that you kind of key with Romantic Warrior in like a Quinella or something, and maybe you get a bit of a price. But what did you think?
Yeah, so you know me, I've picked against Romantic Warrior all of those 6 races, I think. Just trying to get around this horse, and I should probably stop. I still don't think it's value here. I do think it's your most likely winner, but I do think it'll be overbet. I do think there's opportunity for this horse to get beaten, and if you do, you'll get paid. So I'm gonna do it again. I'm gonna try and pick against this horse for some reason. Um, I ended up. I also ended up on Tasty Air. Actually, I think that race against the Deuce in the Japan Cup off the layoff was a huge positive. Obviously that horse had 6 months on the bench. I do kind of worry that maybe it was pointed there and not necessarily here. Um, so I don't know if you get the same run, but I mean it's had a fair enough layoff since, so it should run well here. I do think I think it wants that firmer ground. I do think hey, maybe hopefully it continues kind of moving forward. Right, the horse is only 4. You don't know why it had that 6 month layoff, but it's an encouraging sign that it ran really well, kind of first up. So I don't know if you expect improvement, but I don't know if you need improvement necessarily to you know show pretty well. So yeah, Tastier is the one that I kind of want. The other horse that I went to was the 10 Content, and obviously this is a horse that's disappointed a bit. I think I was on this horse in the Breeders' Cup, and or no, I wasn't on this horse in the Breeders' Cup because I actually did bet Moira, and Moira was kind of one of my actual plays that didn't explode in the gate that day. So, I was actually able to bet and cash in on that horse.
It was the day
Um,
before that you exploded in the gate.
no, it was both because there was the other horse, actually the horse before, when we were talking about who's the other horse that won the Breeders' Cup race that's running here 2 races
Starlust.
before. Starlust, yeah, the horse that I was on there. I think it was the one. Was it Believing or something like that? That
Mm,
scratching the gate. Yeah,
yeah,
thanks for
gotcha.
opening those wounds back up.
Oh, no problem. That's what I'm
Anyway,
here
yeah,
for.
can ruin my whole freaking weekend. Um, but look, I like that Moore still rides this horse, right? I don't know what this horse wants. I don't know where it's been pointing. The the race at Del Mar wasn't overly impressive, to be honest, after I was on it. But hey, maybe you blame the short stretch. Maybe you blame just Moira being better that day. Not sure. Um, but I do think this horse wants the firmer ground, right? You see all those kind of soft races or those yielding races kind of come back a little bit worse than kind of anything on good or above good. So I think that's a positive. And again, I do think Ryan Moore can win a race. It's getting a weight break, right? This horse is a 3-year-old filly, so again, it gets 7 pounds on a fair bit of this field, which is nice. And hey, maybe it shows something, right? I do think the fact that Moore continues to ride this horse, that they continue to ship it around the world, there has to be something there. So maybe this is the time for this horse. And yeah, just kind of again, trying to get around Romantic Warrior and find some value in here. I think that's one where I went to just thinking, hey, Ryan Moore's not going to come here and show up and not win something. So
Yeah, I did look at Content, and I didn't know what, like I said, I didn't know what to really think. From the horse kind of shipping over here um, from Del Mar. I mean, ran okay, just kind of ran evenly, I think,
yeah,
in that race. So um, I don't, not necessarily like good or bad or anything like that, but um, yeah, I didn't really know what to do with the horse. I know I was talking with Caleb a little bit before this. I was asking him. I was asking about horses like Content, or even a horse like Wingspan.
yep,
I thought Wingspan was a little interesting as kind of maybe um, being a forwardly placed horse, maybe you're leader in this race. And hey, maybe there's a chance that this horse kind of gets loose, is inside drawn. So I thought Wingspan was maybe an interesting horse to kind of maybe use underneath as like I said, like a pace play. I mean, you're getting what 119 pounds, and what's Romantic Warrior like? We're getting 7 pounds there.
Yep.
So and you're getting 7 pounds, your inside drawn speed. I mean, and you're going a bit of a distance. Maybe that helps you out a little bit. So I thought the 12 wingspan was interesting, or 11, sorry, 11 wingspan. I was interested in that horse a little bit too in the Breeders' Cup Turf, but obviously I don't think anyone was beating Rebels Romance. Obviously the Japanese horse was it Shariar ran pretty well in that race, but
Yep.
um, yeah, I thought wingspan might be an interesting one to kind of use underneath as well. But um, yeah, hey, I'm glad you landed on that four with me. So maybe I'm not that crazy. Or, apologies to the connections for running dead last when both you and I are on that horse. But yeah, it's gonna be a fun night. It's gonna there be great races. We'll see how things go. But yeah, I think that's gonna
Yeah.
do it. Or you're gonna say something, Matt?
No, I was gonna say. I mean, it's exciting, right? I mean, this is the one day that you see these international horses ship in. It's the best racing day of the year. So you know, stay up, watch some racing. It'll be fun.
That's going to do it for us. Obviously, check us out at onthewronglead.com, at wrong_lead on Twitter. I am at Cherry Drank. Matt is at Slow and Steadied. And you can, you can catch all of Matt's picks. And this, I think, is actually obnoxiously loud. So let me see if I can turn that down a little bit. But hey, let's make some money. Have a good weekend, everybody, and hopefully we get in the Christmas spirit here a little bit, huh?
Good luck, all.